Okay guys, welcome to our last video on multi-directional warm-ups. The last two things we want to cover today are dynamic hip turns and accelerate-decelerate. So with dynamic hip turns, there's two ways you can do the hip turns that I do. There's one where you just go from left to right like they do in Athletes Performance, or there's one where you go from left to middle to right to middle and you're pogoing in between. So I'll show both variations. How you're going to do this is you're going to go into the set position that I showed on the lateral shuffle. So set position, then you're going to go into your base position, and then we're going to go through the drill. So it'll look like this. Okay? Then with regards to the two different types of dynamic hip turns you can do, one, as I said, is where you can go back to the center, and one is where you can go left to right. So I'm going to show the dynamic hip turns that you do when you go back to the center every time. So they'll look like this. So we'll go set, base, we'll pogo. Okay, so that's the one where you go back to the center every time. Then the other dynamic hip turns you can do is just where you go from left to right. So again, we'll go set, base. Okay, the reason why we use that drill is so we can disassociate our torso from our hips. So as you can see, I'm keeping my torso square to you guys watching the video as my hips disassociate from my torso, okay? That's going to be very, very important when we do things like a crossover or when we do a shuffle in a defensive type situation. Just got to get my breath back. Last thing we're going to cover then is going to be accelerate and decelerate. Again, we're going to use the set and base position. Then we're going to accelerate and decelerate then into the base, an active base position. So that's going to look like this. So we're set, base, accelerate, decelerate, active base position. Now, just to make sure I'm in shot, you'll notice that, or maybe you mightn't be able to see it there, but I used a plyo step. Some people call that a false step. So I was here when I accelerated, okay? That is not stepping backwards. Stepping backwards is this. If I'm standing here and I do that, that's stepping backwards. My hips went behind the frontal plane. In a plyo step, okay, my drive, the hip on my drive leg did not drift behind the frontal plane, okay? If you put every athlete in a base or a leg position and say go, they will all naturally do a plyo step to readjust their feet to produce force into the ground. But there are two drills that I put into a multi-directional warm-up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you tomorrow.